All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show with no name.
As of yet.
As of yet, where we're batting a couple of ideas around. So if anyone out there has got an idea for us, throw it our way. And we only have about, I would say, 15 minutes or so. And today's topic is going to be on professionalism, essentially the aspect of, well, showing up day in and day out, as the idea from showbiz. The show must go on. And since this is a performance based, well, what would you call this? Performance based activity that we do. It's very, in my opinion, that's such a funny phrase. It's all everyone's opinion, right? Uh, it's important to show up despite how you're feeling. Right, we got to put in the work and somehow find a way to compartmentalize whatever's going on in the life. Now, granted, I do want to pay respect to those that if you're going through some serious shit and it's debilitating, then yes, tap out and make the proper adjustments so your day can go on and clients are being serviced by other folks as well. But at least I think this is a good point to start the conversation. So, Wesley, your thoughts on professionalism?
Oh, geez. Yeah. So, we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about how I think one of us wasn't in a good mood, or maybe both of us, or whatever.
Probably both of
And
us.
right. And we were talking about, despite how we feel, we have to still show up and give our 100% for the person. And a lot of times you don't even have to. I had this weird thing where it's like, well, if I don't feel, I want to be genuine and authentic. And if I don't feel like I'm connecting, or if I don't feel like being there, I don't want to act like I care about, and I just want to act normal, and maybe they'll appreciate that. But I had a renewed perspective, because I realized that, like, I'm actually here for this person. It actually has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with us being friends or anything like that. Like, I'm here. This person's probably nervous getting onto the call. They probably don't want to be here either. They probably rescheduled a couple times because they're nervous. And so me getting on the call and showing up my best self is really just allowing them to feel comfortable and to feel heard, and to lead them too, right? And I also have a job, so like I can't just like be showing up um half-ass. And so now before every call, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, no matter what this person gives at me, I'm gonna just show up with like the best attitude I can possibly give, just a loving attitude, no expectations, and just like show up and show out for this person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it helps when you're angry or driven or motivated to just like get to a goal. Like, I want to have an amazing call. It helps because even if they're being a terrible person to you, and they're being mean, which we have plenty of those types of people. um it's easy to be professional in those situations when you just think about the goal that you want, which is to just be the best version of yourself that you can be, right? If I'm thinking about, oh, I want this person to buy, then it gets a little tough, because your ego comes into play and you want them to like you and all
Mm-hmm.
this stupid shit. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just reframe it. You've helped me a lot as a friend, of just like, okay, instead of looking for the sale, why don't we reframe this to be like, let's see let's see how much adversity we can take on this call and still be unbothered by it, right? And like, just be patient in spite of it. Like, see if we can take on any challenge, right? So I just see it as a challenge now. And even like this call, this podcast, we're just like, hey, we got a busy day, I'm dealing with a sickness, and let's just show up and just do it, right? Like, no excuses. I think that's what, and the super long, I guess, elongated version is what I would say professionalism is just showing up despite how you feel consistently.
That can be used as well to describe discipline, right? Showing up despite how you're feeling, doing the thing despite how you're feeling. I think professionalism and discipline go hand in hand. They're needed. Although I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are professional and also undisciplined in their lives, but when I say it out loud, it just doesn't sound congruent. Doesn't sound like it matches up. And I think that's, you brought up a really important point. The idea of keeping the ego in check. I find what helps me to remain professional, even especially on very trying calls. On granted, man, there have been some calls that have pushed me to the limits, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where we have to have an awareness around our boundaries. We have to be very clear about that as far as like what we're willing to take on and what we're not willing to take on, especially when for lack of a better term, when a client gets abusive, when they're getting angry and they're saying all kinds, whatever it might be. I haven't experienced anything as extreme as some stories that I've heard as of yet. Right. When the opportunity, shows up and presents itself, then it's like, okay, you put yourself to the test. But that's the thing, is that ego, keeping that in check. When people talk about the death of the ego, and it's like, yeah, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to do that in real time unless like you smoke a shit ton of salvia or do some hardcore psychedelics. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Right.
The ego is always present, but the minimization of, right, the minimization of it, in a sense where we're not so self-centered. I think we always operate from a base of self-centeredness, right? I think that's just a basic human mechanism. You can't shut it off. It's just basic biology. But being present on the call for the other person, right? I mean, like, I think everyone can relate to this. 1 minute you're experiencing just fucking crippling imposter syndrome or whatever it might be, right? Just self-doubts, whatever, for whatever reason, right? Let's say you haven't made a sale in so long. That's one of the, that's like the one big theme, right? Where it starts fucking people up. Then you drop into the call with another human and it's just like, okay, I'm here to listen to this person and to see if I can even help them, to see what kind of decision they're here to make. How can I facilitate that? I find that when I drop into that and be very present and just pay the fuck attention, that really helps crank up, if you will, the professionalism dial, because it's not about me.
Yeah, and you bring up a really important point that I just thought of, is like, I think you just said like you can't get rid of the ego, right? Like a lot of times I just try to suppress how I feel, and then that turns into like anger that just comes out randomly that I can't control. So like instead of doing that, what I've changed to doing now is just changing my focus, right? It's no longer about like getting a sale. I'm focused on like, let's take I thought of this, I think it's a brilliant example, is like, how I want to be the best possible communicator. Mm-hmm. Right. So like at that point, like if you get on a call and someone's giving you shit, it's like you could still be happy and actually excited that you fucking handled it like a professional, right? Yep. Like you get off the call and you're like, dude, that dude gave me so much shit. Yep. And I was like the most calm, level-headed person. I was, and at the end of the call, he thanked me for like, he's like, sorry, man, I'm just having a bad day or whatever. And so I think it comes back to changing, like shifting our focus, right? Maybe we're focusing on the wrong outcomes, which are things that are outside of our control. And you and I are very much stoically, very much based in stoicism. So I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think the difference is between discipline and professionalism? You said that they're very similar. What do you?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is. I don't think there is a difference.
Or is professionalism a discipline in and of itself? Like they say, hey, what you study this discipline, right?
Yeah, I think, exactly. I think it's so. If we were to look up the word professionalism right now, I'm sure there would be something about, professing something or being part of that. When we hear the word professional, that guy's very professional. The first thought that pops in mind is like, the dude knows his job. He's very well. He's in that role, in that character. You're not breaking character. You're not bringing in outside life bullshit where it's just like, hey, look, welcome to the car, whatever. And it's like, no, I'm just having a shitty day, but how are you? That's not very professional. It's like being a Karen or a Debbie Downer on the call. So I see professionalism as its own form of discipline, right? Whatever thing you take on, have a professional mindset about it, where it's like, I want to be good at that thing, so I'm going to show up for it every day. Whether it's fitness, improving your sales process, whether it's being a better parent, a better friend, husband, wife, whatever it might be, there's always going to be that sense that you've got to maintain. And again, going back to this, show up and do the work.
Yeah. So how do you think that we could become better professionals, like in our space? Because I think that is the key to being a good we were talking about this the other day. Like, if you're a professional, if you're a true professional in the truest sense, you master everything else, right? Like you are present on the call, and you are being level-headed, and you are making sure that you're prepared for the call and studying properly, and all this stuff, right? Like professionalism, it's like showing up, like you said, like to the best of your ability for that person or for the task at hand. So how do you think we could develop more professionalism in our life, despite the whirlwind and
Yeah.
the chaos of it
Yeah.
all?
I think that that one's easy only because I've made it easier for myself. And number one is biology, taking care of the meat suit, having some
Mm-hmm.
type of daily form of movement, whether it's walking or intense exercise. I don't care what it is. Even the crazy ice bath motherfuckers, even those guys, our homie Ricardo Gonzalez, shout out to him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In all the ice bath gang members. I think having that dialed in helps because again, it subdues so much. Like you mentioned earlier about suppression of emotions, but you also threw on a caveat of how like that's not a good thing to do. I agree, not a good thing to suppress. You should not suppress shit except for a firearm with a suppressor. But just kidding.
Then you'll just be passive aggressive with people, and that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
good.
totally, totally. Professionally passive aggressive. I think taking care of your body is extremely important. Everything from what you eat and how you eat and when you eat it. All right, watching your caffeine intake and being very aware of that, cultivating that awareness of yourself. Again, understanding your boundaries, right? Better communications, having better communication. You said something very significant as far as being better at communicating, and this was something that so everyone from JD to Hunter to Michael Dunleavy, all these folks that influence us that we look up to, Eli Wild, right? Where what we do, what is that we do? We have conversations, dude, for a living. This is what we do. We talk to people. A very you would think a very simple task, but no, because the majority of that is you have to listen. And in
Right.
order to listen well, you have to be present. And in order to be present, you have to you have to have practices in your life that constantly keep you grounded in the present. And what better
Right.
thing than exercise? What better thing than meditation? What better thing than being mindful about what it is you're eating and putting into your body, and also sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Making sure you're getting plenty of sleep. And I think that's a big problem with like younger reps. And when I mean younger, I'm talking like chronologically age wise younger guys who who are notorious. I remember being younger, just being notorious about abusing my sleep. Now that I'm older and seeing how that improves everything from my physicality all the way to my professionalism, that's like I would say step one is making sure you're getting enough sleep and you're hydrated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I just looked up the definition of professionalism. It says the competence or skill expected of a professional, the practicing of an activity, especially a sport, by professional rather than amateur. So it's a continual practice, or it's a competency in a specific thing. So like, because they always say like you're a sales professional or
Right,
you're this
right. But
professional.
go further. Do you find is there like a Latin root for profesh? Like, like pro meaning for something and then fet. That's what I'm curious about is like how further down the rabbit hole can we get with this particular word?
Yeah, I don't see it yet. Latin word profere, which means to promise.
Promise.
Interesting. Maybe it's an integrity thing within oneself. I don't know.
Well, no. Well, think about it, right? To promise. So, as a professional, you are making a promise to your clients that you're going to show up as your best and give them your best. That's what a
Right.
professional does every day, day in and day out. You can count on that person at as to be solid, to not be wavering. Now, granted, I think a big part of it is the mask that we wear, right? The
Mhm.
persona that we take on. The word persona comes from Latin per sound, right? Where sound's traveling. The old Greek plays where they would wear the masks, right? And so we wear this mask of professionalism despite how we feel. Because
Mm.
again, going back to not every day are we going to be feeling 100%. Not every day we're going to be like, fuck, I'm ready to do this. No, there are some days where it's like, I don't want to fucking do this. Hey, how's it going? How are you today? It's just boom. The
Right.
show must go on.
Yeah, I've been really meditating on that word professionalism. I wrote it down in my notes a couple days ago of like, I just think that that word, if I focus on that, it just encapsulates everything because it's just a like I said, it's shifting your focus on how do I show up the best I can, and that in and of itself is a pursuit that I think you won't have those things of getting frustrated with clients or getting whatever, because it's not about what they say, it's about how you react to what they say. And I think that's what professionalism is focused on, is like how you handle situations that happen to you rather than um, what situations happen to you necessarily, right?
I would change one thing, and I would remove the word react and replace it with respond. It's about how we respond, because react is it's a quick thing. When you think of a chemical reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very quick thing. But when we take the word out and replace it with respond, then that's giving us the gap between emotional stimulus and our body wanting to do something and say, nah, fuck you, but in a passive aggressive way. And then take that moment to go, and be stoic about it, perceive it a different way, and give a response.
Right. I think this is
Nuance.
a great place to end it, because I know you got a call coming up. Talk about professionalism. We got a call, podcast call. So I'm gonna go hang out with my mom. She's in town, but I hope this resonated with somebody, and let us know like if this is something that is inspiring thoughts or actions or something like that, or if that we should talk about. And yeah, I'll let you have the final word today.
No, that's fine enough. I'm going to stop this recording. All right. Awesome, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.